Hey folks, Quill18 here, and welcome to a brand new Let's Play for Rimworld. And this time we're going to go a little different by going a lot plain. We are going to be doing a pure vanilla run on this one. No DLC, no mods. Of course, Rimworld has one of the greatest modding communities in the universe, and you can use the mods to transform Rimworld into an infinite number of alternate games, and it's great for that. But sometimes when you do the Let's Plays, it means, you know, it's less accessible for people who are just trying to learn the basics, trying to apply things for their own games, and so on and so forth. And so we're going pure vanilla, not even in the expansions, which probably will mean at some point I'm going to be trying to do something and realize that I can't because it's a feature from an expansion. But let's see. We're going to go and start a new game. Now, I will say this. If you've got the royalty expansion, actually, just very briefly, for people who are newer and might have questions about, which expansion is worth getting first, let's just talk about the few in the as an overview over here. Royalty is an extremely great expansion, in particular to add some cool combat stuff in the form of psychic powers. In particular, it makes tribal runs really, really fun because you can meditate around the anima tree and get tons of psychic abilities, which are fun to play with and also great for combat. Ideology is my personal favorite expansion. If I only had to have one, it would be Ideology, because it adds, to me, in my mind, like infinite replayability, because with customized ideologies for each run feels considerably different from one another. Biotech is the one that probably adds like the most sort of gameplay mechanics that are applicable everywhere, with the ability to have babies, greatly expanded just genetic shenanigans, some cool things with mechs and robots and stuff that is just wonderful. Bang for your buck, Biotech probably has the most stuff. Although, for me, again, I'd probably prioritize Ideology for the replayability. I guess Ideology is best for someone who's got like 1,000 hours in Rimworld already and wants to shake things up. If you're brand new to the game and you've played a few times and just want to add a little bit, Royalty or Biotech might be the way to go. And then Anomaly is probably the DLC that is the least sort of highly regarded. That doesn't mean it's a bad DLC. In fact, it's fantastic, but it is very focused on a sort of like super horror, supernatural, Cthulhu-esque monstrosities kind of vibe, you know, zombies and things like that. It is definitely a theme for a game. Anomaly is an expansion that people sometimes will, for a new run, they'll turn off the anomaly mechanics because they're like, on this run, I don't want to do these weird, like, dark entities from beyond the void, and other times you do. So while anomaly is excellent, it might be the lowest priority. Anyway, we'll say that, but this time we're not playing with any of those expansions. Lost Tribe is actually a really, really great start for lots of different reasons. But this, I think, would be a lot harder without royalty, because one of the things with tribals is that because they can meditate the anima tree and develop psychic powers, it's actually quite cool. You do research very slowly, which you could also compensate if you had ideology, because you can increase your research speed as part of the ideology. I think Lost Tribe is really, actually, a surprisingly powerful start with the expansions. But without, it definitely is a lot harder. Rich Explorer, Naked Brutality, of course, you can make your own custom start. I think we're just going to go with the classic crash-landed scenario over here. If we're playing a vanilla basic game, well, this is a vanilla basic start. In terms of our storyteller here, there's just a little bit of changes, because Standard Classic will kind of give you big events like raids on a semi-regular schedule. Phoebe Chillax is basically exactly the same, but there's more gap between raids. The raids will be just as strong and can catch you off guard, but there's more of a pause in between them. And Randy Random doesn't follow a schedule. Sometimes you'll go a year without anything bad happening. Sometimes you get 3 brutal raids in a row. In a sense, I actually feel that, generally speaking, Randy Random is probably easier. Every now and again, he just decides to kill you. But a lot of times, well, he doesn't decide to kill you. Just sometimes the dice end up rolling that he does. Whereas it feels like Cassandra Classic is constantly actively trying to kill you. The biggest gotcha with Randy Random is sometimes you'll get like a super early disease that just like kills your group. But since we're going for, again, something closer to this vanilla experience, I think we'll play with the default storyteller, Cassandra Classic. We will play on Losing is Fun, which is the highest difficulty. Well, that's not entirely true. You can go custom and actually bring it up to 500% difficulty. That's a little much for me. But if we go to Losing is Fun over here, you see Losing is Fun is 220% threat scale. So this is the custom view. We could tweak some more things. We're not going to. We're just playing a standard Losing is Fun run, which is exactly what we see over here. So again, we could bring it up to 500, but I'm not gonna. So Losing is Fun, boom, done. There we go. Oh, right, and I have to choose Reload Anytime mode. And, we can go with different random seeds. We can make the world bigger. I've never really felt the point to make the world bigger unless you really wanted to do one of the nomadic walk to the spaceship runs, but you want it to be as far away as possible. 30% world is fine. It makes the world faster. It plays faster. You barely move around the world anyway. So don't be tempted, I'd say, to make things too much bigger. We're going to leave all these different factions on. I think we can add like duplicates of them, which is actually kind of interesting. We could have a couple of the sort of industrialist level stuff, but again, we're going to leave everything on the default. We're going to generate this world. You can see again, we do not have any of the expansions loaded and we don't have any mods installed. Choosing where we're going to go. I don't know, since we're focusing everything on vanilla, I'm not sure that we're going to do anything crazy like an ice sheet start. Jungle's got pros and cons. Diseases tend to be quite a lot higher, but you do have a lot of wood to work with. Our last run, we were on a fairly flat run for our Rimworld run. So I'm wondering if we go to something a little bit more mountainous. I do quite like to start next to the roads because it makes it easier to travel in the overworld. I also like to start often fairly close to the industrial factions. There's a couple of them over here. So these would be a couple of different, they're the same faction, but a couple of different trading partners would be wonderful. And the primitives over here. Oh no, that's the hostile industrial faction. Although we could befriend them for another trading partner / ally we could call in a war. Like, they will keep tending towards negative, but we can just gift them some stuff and make an extra ally. And that might be kind of fun. If I'm playing with royalty, a lot of times I'd also try to be near one of the imperial settlements, but you can't. In a way, this is so great here. It would be another flat map, which is very convenient for being able to sort of free build in every direction, but is certainly going to be a lot more exposed than a place that has more mountains. Maybe we'll go here, large hills. I don't think it's too close to this that they'll be cranky. So we'll do this. What else? What other information we got? So our growing period is 40 out of 60 days. It is a 60-day year cycle. Every 15 days is a month. So for 2/3 of the year, we can grow crops and the rest it'll be cold. So again, very standard. This is probably a little on the drier side at 755 millimeters of rain. This is, well, it is lower. Maybe it is short of a jungle. There we go. It's a little rainier. No, I guess that is fairly rainy for Rimworld. But I know that you can get into like the thousands if you go into more swampy Rimworld, swampy or jungle areas. You can see that's quite a lot higher. But okay, sure. Let's do this. What kind of stone we get? Limestone, marble, and granite. Fine. Sandstone is the stone that's the fastest to work with. Marble is nice because it's pretty. I think granite is the hardest of rocks, but it doesn't really matter too much. So then we have to choose 3 people to bring with us. Now it does generate 8, so we could look at these and then like reorder things and do that. You can also reroll people as much as you want. Normally, these are good for like sort of saving someone who's halfway decent. What I'm looking for people with no major health conditions, no problematic traits, and of course, good skills would be nice. Tomo here is actually not a bad option. Creepy breathing does make social interactions a lot worse. Masochist is actually relatively positive because if you're ever in pain, you'll be happier about it. Tough, ironically, will make it harder for you to get in pain. This is really powerful. Incoming damage multiplied by 50%. You take half damage for everything. Tough is one of the best traits in the game. Things like tough, industrious, jogger, maybe something like Sanguine or Iron Will is also right up there. But yeah, tough is definitely like S tier. And Masochist is really high up as well, I think. You are... Okay, really good at animals we don't really care about that. And then you have no other standout active skills, but you have passion in a lot of things. Right, you've got some passion for shooting, so you'll gain some skill there. If you don't have any passion, you learn things at 1/3 the speed. You can see the times 35% multiplier over here. 1 tick of passion is normal speed, and a burning passion is 150% speed. Although the difference between normal passion and burning passion isn't that much more in effect, although it also makes them a lot happier while they're working on it. The no passion definitely hurts a lot. But this is a pretty good pawn. So you can shoot. You could probably take over cooking. Always good to have medics around, full-time researchers. Like, this is actually wonderful. I think Tomo is definitely staying. Moth Psychically sensitive has pros and cons. I think in vanilla, it's just all cons. With the royalty mod and psychic powers, psychic sensitivity, I think increases the chance that you regain your psychic, I don't know, your mana, basically. I can't remember what the ability is called. Chemical interest, you'll do a lot of drugs, and you're starting with an injury. So, I mean, there's some skills here. We would like someone with good construction, although, I was going to say, clearly we have someone with good construction over here. Annoying ways, psychically hypersensitive. Nimble, pros and cons, melee dodge chance, and you don't spring traps as much. You do have some really nice skills. I don't love these things, but we'll see. Moth is definitely, we're not taking Moth, so we're going to roll you. Too Smart is interesting. You gain skills a lot faster, but you do have a worse global break threshold. Cannibal is fine. Actually, semi-net positive, probably won't moderate for this run. Psychically Dull is great, but the problem is you're starting with a go juice addiction and an artery blockage, so that is no good for us. Slow learner, frail, no, and bad back? Oh yeah, because you're 83 years old. Definitely not. That's the other thing you want to keep an eye on age, because when they age up, they can get various diseases. You're a kind misogynist who's a nude bisexual. What an interesting backstory you have. I don't think we're going to take you. Okay, you do have a scar. You're only 24. Body martyr, hard worker, global work speed plus 20% is fantastic. You can't dumb labor, which is annoying because you can't haul and clean, which would be better if you had something that could always be enabled. Like if you had passion for intellectual, it's like, it's fine. You've always got filler work. The thing is, you do have some construction skill and more cooking, although Tomo also had cooking passion, right? But we could just have you as our primary constructor. 4, I think we can build all the important stuff early on with a 4. I think you need a 4 to, I don't know, build a proper table or a chair, maybe a bed or something like that. Like, I think there's a few things that are locked at a 4. I think there's some at 6, but you'll get there pretty quickly. I think I might keep you because the hard worker. The body modder is a little annoying. You'll get some negative thoughts for a while. It's too bad your injury isn't like on an arm or something, because then we could replace the arm. We might consider you. Now, 4 Eyes, I'm going to go and move you down. We're going to try to kind of save you because you're vaguely acceptable. But there were some issues. Let's look at Cohen. So what are we looking for? We don't have anyone with a good mining skill. The planting skill is going to be especially important. You are, oh my God. Tough, again, one of the top tier picks. Super immune, also one of the top tier picks. Neurotic is sort of pros and cons. It's got the 20% global work speed, exactly the same as hard worker, right? But it does come with a higher mental break threshold, so you're more likely to have a break. You're also not the youngest, although those traits are good. The problem is you don't have any skills we care about. The traits are... Neurotic, I'd probably put as... I mean, sort of neutral, I guess, depending on everything else that's going on. But because your skills aren't there, we're going to reroll you. Bad back is terrible. We're not going to do this. Underground or nervous? No. So nervous is just like the... what were we looking at? Neurotic, but all bad. Although you do have the mining skill, but... Okay, trigger happy. You're very old. I think you're going to be due for some diseases. Older pawns do tend to have more higher skill levels, though. And you do have great planting. Trigger happy sounds like it could be bad with the reduced accuracy, but in practice, the reduced aiming time actually makes trigger happy considered to be a pretty strong trait. Man, plant, and then you can research on your time off. And actually, the torso wound is less bad than the other person. I mean, you could be permanently researching when you're not planting. That's good. I don't like that we don't have someone with mining skill. That has been an annoyance in the past for things. So we have man over here. We can probably rename them like as kind of a focused constructor. And we have cook, research, medical, and some shooting. I mean, Tomo's a big winner. I mean, the creepy breathing might be a little annoying, but you're a big winner. Khalid. Well, maybe we'll leave you here, but we'll do some rerolls on some other people. And again, with the idea of... if we could get someone who's both a planter and a miner, that would be good. You literally can't mine. Good plant. Traits are bad. Fast learner is great. Greedy is really annoying. Kind of fun. You have a lot of various things. You are starting with a wake up addiction, although you're going to bring some wake up with you. Good melee. I I don't know. You're tempting. Fast. Okay, staggering, ugly. Oh, but you got the heart blockage. No. Nervous. It's bad again. Great memory is quite good. Bloodlust is fine, although you'll start more social fights. Good mining. I'm not convinced. Volatile's bad. Misandrist is annoying. Optimist is good. Double passion for construction. Cooking, planting. You're interesting. Here, maybe I'll roll until I see someone. Okay, you've got a bite on your leg. I was going to say, see someone with mining. You're tough. You don't have any combat skills, but you've got that. 24, so you're not going to get that. Oh, you're the daughter of Tomo, which mostly means that when one of them dies, the other one's going to be super cranky. But you can mine and you can plant, which if I replace Khalid... Okay, that's pretty good. I'd prefer it if you didn't have a scar. But tough, again, insane. How many? We have 2 toughs? 2 toughs. And the hard worker trait. And you could also construct. And it's not bad to have a pair enabled that way. We'll probably put that secondary to your mining and planting. Mining is not a full-time job. Planting, you do use increasing amount of times for. You've also got the crafting here. I mean, you might be too busy to make use of it. But I was just realizing I didn't have anyone who had crafting skills. So it is actually going to be important to do that. Okay, this seems like a fine way to start. I would be, if this was a run with ideology enabled, I think I'd be very leery about the fact that we don't have someone with high social skills, although you can grind it up because you've got some passion. It's maybe less important without ideology. But let's give this a start and see how it goes. 16 minutes in, and we're starting the game. Okay, we'll let them just plop down, and then I'm going to pause the game and take a look around. Now, I'm a little sad that I'm not going to run in the Camera Plus mod, because the Camera Plus mod would let me zoom out more and give you more of an overview of the map. We've got a natural sort of defensible area over here, right? Tiny wall here, tiny wall here. I mean, there's some opening here, but at least we've got one side defended. We've also got a tiny little alcove we can get in early. Now, there is walls over here. Well, we'll see. If they get here, we'll get a message if it turns out to be a danger zone. I suspect it's not a danger zone. So we can also tear down these walls early on to maybe get a little bit of space, but also just get some steel. So that's actually probably a great place for us to go. I forgot I'm not... Okay, I'll probably introduce the Colorblind Minerals mod, if nothing else, which makes all the minerals in the walls pop a lot more, which is really important for me because I have a hard time spotting them sometimes, but it's also one of those things that's quite good from a visual point of view. We should maybe do a little bit of renaming. Now, I'm going to hit home and not unforbid all. Yeah. So there's a mod I like called Allow Tools, which does a variety of things, but one of the things it does, if you hit home, it unforbids things. It also puts little handy buttons over here to quickly unforbid everything. But I think... There we go. We can right-click and unforbid all, although that will also include any rotten corpses, but there shouldn't be any on the map. We got ourselves a kitty. Okay. Are you bonded to anyone? No. Okay. So no one will be super freaked out if you do die. Who's our best shot? Okay, it's definitely Man, clearly. So we'll give Man the bolt-action rifle. We'll give Tomo the pistol, the revolver. And then Sanchez, you can pick up the knife, the plasteel knife. I feel like we do want to give these guys more nicknames that sort of fit. One thing I'm going to do, though, is I'm going to go and put a little, say, asterisk. Oh, you can't put asterisks. Because I wanted to mark our founder. Maybe our founders. Well, that's interesting. I put a dash, but I can't put a plus or equal. I guess because a dash is a normal character in a thing. I wanted a symbol to indicate and remind myself long term who our starting pawns are. So here, we'll keep you as Michelle for now. I guess it was going by last name. But no, we'll go with Michelle here. And we'll have little dashes as reminders of who we started with so we can keep track of that as we go forward. Okay. Do we have... Okay, we've got some rich soil over there. Not super close to where I was going to tuck in first. And it'll be a little harder to cover. I'm wondering if we might go and just make our initial crop like right outside our front door. Just for safety's sake. That seems like a good idea. I'm going to turn off the auto home zoning. I'm going to turn on the auto rebuilding of destroyed thing. Actually, that's not the auto home zoning. This one is. That was the roof thing. So let's come over here. Let's chop some trees. over here. That might be too much to start off with. Just need a little bit so we can seal ourselves in, please. And everything's been unforbidden. I'll also go and make a quick little stockpile zone just inside here before we wall things off so we can bring some things in. Need warm clothes, yeah, because winter is going to come at some point. It was only 3 degrees right now. I guess that's why it's complaining, but it should get warmer a fair bit faster. So let's make a growing zone out here. And the general rule of thumb is that you usually target about 20 tiles of food growth area per pawn. So let's say this for 63. Now we could grow potatoes. Potatoes are very insensitive to fertility. They only have a fertility sensitivity of 40%. So they would still benefit from like very rich soil. But usually it's kind of a waste to grow potatoes. You're better off if you've got rich soil. You're better off growing either the corn or the rice. I really like the rice because it grows very quickly and cycles very quickly and it's dependable. 100% sensitivity. Here it doesn't really matter because the terrain that we're using is just regular richness. It's neither poor, which would be better for potatoes because it doesn't care that it's poor, or it's neither rich, which would be better for rice. I think I will go for rice just because it's got a very short growing period, so we'll get some soon. Immediate fear, this grizzly bear, if it gets hungry, and I guess we can't check that. If it gets hungry, it might decide to go and attack one of our people. We might want to preemptively go and whack it. But hopefully it'll just, I think it's an omnivore. I think we can get info over here. So hopefully it'll just eat some random berries or things that are around. We could leave some stray berries on the ground as sort of a bait. Like if I just went and picked these berries here, but then left them on the ground, that might be something. So I don't know. We've got a little bit of cryosleep sickness, or crypto sleep sickness is what they call it. This squirrel could also be a problem because it could decide to eat our food, but hopefully we'll bring things inside. Let's take a look at our work schedule here. Let's go and turn on the manual priorities. I like to set firefighting to a 1, patienting to a 1, doctoring to a 1. Arguably, especially with the doctors, you might want to set their patient down by 1 level so that they do doctoring things first before they go and lie down themselves as a patient. Bed rest is interesting. This is for non-critical stuff. If someone has an infection, you probably want them to be in bed resting. But if they're just bruised, they do heal from it faster if they rest. But at this point, we probably want them out in the field. So I'm going to turn off bed resting. Basic is just flicking switches. So, and well, mostly like things like that. Very small, micro little tasks that having it as a number 1 priority is perfectly fine. If we get a prisoner, well, Tomo's going to be the one who has to talk to them. Their social skills sucks, but I guess they'll have to learn it. Animal handling comes up very, very infrequently, so having it as a 1 is fine. Let's go and turn off everything else so that we can think about how we might want to assign things. In practice, we're probably going to put things back more or less where they were, but let's do that. Now, we can have everyone do a research as a filler job. That's fine. Like if they run out of other things to do. So the way these priority systems work is from left to right, you do everything that's a 1. Then again, from left to right, you do everything that's 2, 3, and then finally a 4. So leaving these on here, these are going to be the last things anyone does, but that's okay. And yeah, man doesn't do the, what is it called? The manual labor, but they've got another term for it. Dumb labor is what they're calling it. So again, they won't haul and stuff. Actually, there's quite a few things that man won't do. But yeah, really, you're here to construct and really cook. And it's probably fine to have these both at a 2, especially early on. The cooking's not going to occupy that much time, which should allow a lot of time for construction. Later on, cooking becomes kind of a first full-time job. I guess since Tomo, you really don't have anything other than cooking and the doctoring. So you're going to do a lot of hauling. Although, actually, you could end up doing a lot of research. Now, I might want to put the research to a 3 for Tomo. Although that only leaves 1 person on hauling duties. We might consider this. So, okay, you'll cook, and when you're not cooking, you're going to research. And if for some, and before we put up the research benches, you'll do some haul and clean. So I'll leave the cooking off completely for man. So we'll just put on the construct, and I don't know, we might set a secondary job for you. I guess I'll do this. So if you've got nothing to construct, maybe you can try some cooking. We'll see. Michelle, I think I'll have to leave your construct off. Your priority is going to be making sure our plants are getting planted. And then if I've got some tree cutting, actually I can put plant cut to a 1. It tends to be very temporary. Just go whack the trees and then go back to the normal stuff. And then if you're not growing plants, you're going to be doing some mining. You're also, I mean, I can leave these at a 2 because again, they'll do these first. I like to signal to myself that these are sort of secondary jobs and putting in a 3, even if it doesn't make a difference in this particular order. Now, crafting even though it does indicate the skill, because crafting skill is a thing that exists, as far as I know, maybe the synthesized drugs makes use of your crafting skill. As far as I know, the rest of these things don't use your crafting skill at all. There's no such thing as quality for any of these things. Well, they make things at the crafting spot, maybe, but the biggest thing that happens with the generic crafting job here tends to be making blocks, which benefits in no way from the skill, nor does it give you XP. So I just like to turn on craft for everyone as another version of some filler work. We don't need any art right now. That's I'm feeling pretty okay with. For the schedule, I'm going to go and trim their sleep schedule down a little bit. And I'm also going to put in a required recreation period, which might be a little early, but we really, a mental break would cause more issues. If someone's recreation is maxed out, they will treat this as an anything period, so they will go and do work and stuff. So it's not quite as bad as it might seem. There's a reason I don't play with the no pause mod. That is not my vibe. So let's just very quickly close this in case we get well, we will get a mad animal at some point. Because it is guaranteed. We are playing a Cassandra Classic, right? It is guaranteed to be the first thing that hits you. And one of the ways we can deal with it is simply by hiding inside of our house. That is a perfectly legit solution to anything that might come up. So we're going to do that, and we will get some beds down ASAP. Now, I know that there are some tricks with these beds. When you're making a barracks, I think if we build extra beds, and actually, maybe even sleep spots would work. If we go and do, I think, more sleep spots than regular beds and flag them for medical, this room is going to count as a hospital rather than a pure barracks. And I think certain quality things don't come up. There's some mechanic like that I've never played with before, but I'm going to fiddle-faddle with over here to see if we can figure out how it goes. So yeah, Michelle, our forester, is chopping down trees before planting, which is probably okay. But I got to make sure not to sweep too many trees to be chopped because she's going to focus on that first, and we'd have to retweak our little priorities and things. We'll probably want a little table to eat at fairly soon as well. And okay, we didn't get the message, especially if I move man like right next to this. Yeah, this is not a danger zone. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to deconstruct this, which will give us a little steel. We'll open up a little bit more territory and see what's there. We got some uranium ore nearby. That's good. There's going to be a nice healthy green glow affecting all of our people. Wonderful. Our people are also equipping clothing automatically. When the clothing gets brought into the stockpile, people will consider wearing that. If they're just lying around, they don't look for that clothing, but if it's in the stockpile, they do. And the automated way of equipping clothing is the default policy is anything, which is fine. I'm going to explicitly rename this as what I like to do to default to make it very clear to me that this is the policy that new pawns are going to have enabled by default, and it allows all clothing, but your pawns will prefer things with higher armor. That's the stat they look at when trying to balance things. I'm going to make sure to set a hit point limit of, say, 51 over here, because if it drops to, I think, at 50, and certainly below 50, it starts to count as tattered apparel and gives them bad thoughts. So we're going to make sure that they don't wear anything that gets tattered. I'm also going to tell people right away not to wear tainted apparel automatically. In some situations, we might force something, like if we get a power armor that's tainted, we might force someone to wear that. But otherwise, we'll leave that be. I'm going to do the same renaming here with this food policy and the drug policy as well. We're going to name this to default. I'm not going to make any changes to this right now. The default policy is they're allowed all these things. If they've got an addiction, they can use it to treat their addiction. And then for recreation, they're allowed to have beer or the smoke leaf if they want. We'll leave that. We've got nothing prescribed here. In practice, we might want to do something like prescribed epinoxycline every 5 days. This is a anti-disease drug that lasts for 5 days. We could also consider, especially if we've got a shortage of this, I mean, right now we don't have any, but we could consider turning this on as a special policy just for maybe our doctors, right? Stop our doctors from getting the plague or the flu. Well, I don't think it deals with the flu. I can't remember what disease it fights. It fights a bunch of them. Oh, malaria, sleeping sickness, and plague. And so we might just want to prevent our doctor from getting it because our doctor can treat everyone else. But let's just leave it on for now and then take a look. And we also might set some sort of forced usage. Yeah, see, this is counting as a hospital right now. Perfect. We could set some scheduled usage of some of the recreational drugs, the beer, the smoke leaf, or something like that to try to keep people happy. Psychite tea is a good one. Assuming Psychite tea is something that exists in base. It is. Okay. Psychite tea is, I think, the one I'm most happy about. Smoke leaf, you can take smoke leaf every couple of days, and I think there's no chance of, OD. I don't remember if there's still a chance of addiction. There might be. And Psych IT is kind of the same thing, fine to take every 2 days. Smoke Leaf reduces consciousness, so people kind of perform all their jobs a little bit worse because they're dopey. Psych IT doesn't have the same thing. So a lot of times I've come around to preferring that. The addiction's a little bit more annoying, but not a big deal. We're getting a few botches here because man's construction skill isn't that high at a 4. In fact, I think the botch chance never goes away, but it's better there. It also might be a little bit worse in the dark. We could put a torch in here. Actually, I might, because it is actually a little cold, right? So we might want to go and set up the torch, which will give us a little heat over here. We might want to get rid of it when the summer comes. There we go. So now this is no longer dark, which is going to help with some of the skill checks. A little deconstruction happening. Oh, we got a nice little urn. Tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to claim this urn and reinstall it in the room because it will add a little bit of beauty. Maybe not enough to make a difference, but we'll keep it around for now. Yeah, we got ourselves a little bit more space. I'm going to expand the stockpile zone over here so we've got a little bit more capacity for things, and that's okay. Unhappy nudity. So someone's not wearing pants or a shirt if they're female. Wait, what? Oh, no, went away. I think Tomo... Oh, Tomo just was switching pants. There we go. From the synth thread to the flak armor. That's totally fine. And then, yeah, bring in the packaged survival meals. That's great. We're getting these planted. With this packaged survival meals, we should have enough food to last until the rice comes. There is some rich soil over here that I might want to use to grow some heal root or something early on. That might not be bad. We can pick some heal root. Because one of the things we're going to want to do is limit what kind of medicine people have access to. In fact, I'm going to go and put them on herbal medicine only by default, so that we don't use our industrial quality medicine. We don't have any herbal medicine, so we should probably pick a little bit of it. If I zoom out, say to here, and then this is a wild heal root. I'm going to double click and put a little harvest on here. So this is selecting all the heal root in the visible area, and we're going to harvest any of it that can be harvested. Ideally, you want to, see, these are already harvested, which is good. You might run into some, yeah, this is only 95% grown, so that'll affect our yield. And ideally, you would want to just harvest from the fully grown ones, but I don't think I'm going to worry about the micromanagement over here because I'm very lazy. But I will say one of the things the allow tool mod does, which I'm going to give another shout out to, is it lets you very conveniently, when you select a bunch of things like that, there'll be a button for just harvest fully grown instead of having to check each one. So again, like what I might want to do is just cancel this heal root. We'll let it finish growing before we get a proper full harvest. And because I don't know how it works. I know for things that give you multiple amounts, that one gave us none, but that is based on the planting skill. And I think this being not fully grown, I think we'll have a higher chance of getting 0. I think if it's something that's like, oh, this could give us 20 berries or a certain amount of wood, if it's not fully grown, we'll just get less rather than the 0. Let's get down some recreation. So we're going to get a horseshoe pin, which I'll just put out here for now as a little bit of source of fun. And let's square off this room, which isn't the most useful use of our time right now, but it is pretty tiny. And then what we'll do is we'll set up a table. Yeah, I don't want to block the door. I'm going to put the table a little further back when this gets dug out, which should happen. And no one's actually idle, which is nice. We will need a few more trees very shortly, so I think I'll go ahead and just say, go ahead and chop down a few more. That's going to be fine. There you go. Yeah, we got some medicine. So we got a danger room over here. Yeah, I think I'm going to go and put in the... Talk about playing modless. For the sake of visual, I'm definitely going to add in the colored minerals mod. Just makes it so much easier to spot things. It changes nothing about gameplay. It just recolors the minerals. Make them pop. And I think that is quite good. I might, at the same time, add in my colored mood bar, which colored mood stuff was added into basic Rimworld somewhere. I thought it... Maybe it's not even a mode. Maybe it's just on all the time now. I'm not certain. High mode dots. Oh, visible mood. That's what it is. It's not called colored mood. So it will color their mood over here. I like the colored mood bar because it also puts a little gender indicator on them, which makes it easier to remember because it's not always obvious from the visuals or the names. And oh, I guess that matters a lot less, I'm just realizing, without playing biotech, because people can't pair up to make babies. So I guess that matters a little bit less. But it also puts a nice little indicator when someone is sick, which makes it a lot easier to notice things. So I don't know. But I will definitely do the colorblind minerals because I'm not actually colorblind. But sometimes it feels like I'm just generally blind in these games in terms of not spotting things. I mean, how long did it take me to just see whether we had that little mood thing? I'm going to wait until they have a snoozle. Oh yeah, this is going to be a bit of an issue with man here because they want to have a mod. They want to have a body mod. We could very quickly give them a peg leg, but that seems like a terrible idea. You have no comfort because there's been nowhere to sit. Right, this is the fun period right now. So people aren't actually working and doing the mining. So we're not going to set up the table right away, but I think that's going to have to be fine. So they're almost at their sleep period. There you go. And so they will get disturbed sleep because they're kind of waking each other up. But this, I don't think will count as sleeping in a barracks, so they won't get negative points from that. So that's a nice little way to dodge some of the early negative modifiers. Of course, if we just gave them a swanky bedroom each, then they'd be happy that they had a great bedroom, but it takes a lot of work to set those up in the first place, so you can save a lot of effort this way. I'm a big fan of just the big barracks in the first place, but finding out this trick that if you made it count as a hospital, then they don't even get the, I don't know, like a very tiny minus from having slept in a awful barracks. I think you can get up to a plus if it's a good barracks. They will always tend to have the disturbed sleep from other people walking in and out, but it's only -1 per stack, and I think it only stacks to 3, so it's not a big deal. And it's definitely worth the much faster setup and much lower wealth. So one of the things in the game is your wealth mar over here. The higher this gets, the more serious the attacks are. So by keeping your wealth low, which is just a total of all the stuff you have, including the value of the pawns themselves, by keeping your wealth low, the attacks will be a lot easier to deal with. So if most of your wealth isn't things that contribute to your defense, assume we had like nothing except for body armor and laser pistols. If all our wealth was just body armor and laser pistols, then we'd be well ahead of the curve when it comes to these raids. So we're going to try to manage that fairly carefully on this run, which is different from the last run. Look at the little texture seam that was, you can just, there it is, under the geyser. That's funny. I've never noticed that issue happen before. All right. We're going to put a cut in here. Folks, hey, if you are new to the channel, of course, make sure to subscribe. And in general, dropping a like and a comment makes a big difference on YouTube with the silly algorithm that's got going on. So that would be appreciated. I'm going to see you next time with us continuing this run. Bye-bye.